put out these fires. It takes a lot to manage these incidents, and unfortunately, as you heard Josh just talk about, the weather forecast is not in our favor. So we've activated the State Emergency Operations Center to a partial activation. We're really behind the scenes, tracking those resources, supporting on-scene operations and logistics, and helping with that planning. Thanks to the amazing work of our Demis regional coordinators who've been working around the clock. Anytime we get notification of a fire, they get out there and support the local responders with getting some ground truth so we can understand if we need to shift resources. Unfortunately, that list of fires throughout the state continues to grow. We held a press conference the other day with Governor Lamont in Hartford at the State Emergency Operations Center, pleading with the public to please be careful and mindful, knowing that 9 out of 10 of these fires are human caused. Yet we continue to see that number uptick, whether it's a cigarette being thrown out a window or somebody ignoring the municipal burn bans and having a fire pit or some sort of debris burn on their property. So we're really pleading with the public to take this seriously. We're not expecting rain for some time, and we really need everybody to do their part to help us keep these fires at bay and prevent new ones from starting. So from our perspective, we're going to remain activated until we get into a more stable environment with these fires. And
of my officers, my patrol officers, my detectives, my deputy chief and assistant chief, as well as the University of Bridgeport, Danielle Wilkinson, her staff, and the security staff. This was a joint collaborative operation or response to this tragic situation. And, it went as well as we could have expected. And we're going to continue our efforts in working with Danielle. And again, I want to also reiterate that we have a car. We designate that car signal as UB1. We've had that car in place for many years now, and that officer works the 4 to 12 shift. So he's always a constant presence on the University of Bridgeport campus. And that officer was on campus last night as well. He responded within minutes to the situation. So I just think that goes to, and it contributes to the success we've had in responding and locking down the campus, and also the subsequent investigation where we were able to identify this young man really quickly as our person of interest in this situation. Beyond that, we are going to maintain a presence on the campus for the next couple of days to make sure that any concerns are put to rest, that the campus is not safe, because the campus is safe, as well as that part of Bridgeport is safe as well. So we are going to, but just out of an abundance of caution and at the mayor's direction, actually, we're going to in addition to the mayor's direction, we're going to maintain a presence on the campus in addition to our UB1 for the next several days. And we'll work with Danielle and her staff to determine how long we need to continue that. But the goal is to get the campus back to normal as possible, and to reassure the students, the staff, and the parents that everything is being done to make sure that their safety is our number one concern. I just wanted to touch on a little bit of so this is, any shooting that occurs is a tragic incident, and shootings like these are unfortunately are random occurrence throughout the country, and not just particularly in Bridgeport, but throughout the country. And it's just an example of young individuals' ability to obtain firearms and their inability to de-escalate or defuse situations. That's something that we not only as a community here in Bridgeport, but as a country, we need to work with our young people better on how to de-escalate and defuse their situations. It's just unfortunate that we see these situations occurring far too often. I also want to mention a couple of things that I did receive a phone call this morning from the Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Public Safety, Rondell Higgins, offering his support and advice on anything that we need from the Connecticut State Police as well. Just to give you a couple of stats, just to kind of reiterate some of the successes we've had here in Bridgeport the past couple of years. So the last few years, I would say 3-4 years, we've maintained a basic level of crime statistics where we've basically stayed the same. So right now, at this point, we're 0.09% increase from last year, which is basically steady what we've been doing here the last several years with less manpower. And our shooting incidents are down 28% for the year. Our non-fatal shooting victims are down 28%, and our fatal shooting victims are down 23%. So as you can see, our shooting incidents are significantly down. We do still have, like with many other communities, an issue with some of our assault first crimes that are occurring. But it's still a work in progress, and we're going to continue to do our best to make sure not only the University of Bridgeport is secure, but the rest of the city of Bridgeport as well. So I'll let Danielle Wilkins, the president for the University of Bridgeport, say a few words, and then if you have some questions, we'll take a few questions. Before we take questions, I just want to remind you that this is an ongoing investigation, And so we're going to be limited as to what we can say as it relates to the investigation.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank the chief, all the officers in the city of Bridgeport. They were amazing last night. They have continued to be amazing partners. I'd like to thank our security team, the faculty, staff, and the students of University of Bridgeport who cooperated so brilliantly and made sure that our community stayed safe. Thank you to the mayor's office and our city council and all of our delegation who've offered their support. As the chief said, we have an incredible relationship with the police department. A few years ago, the police department needed additional space for their police academy. And we agreed at that time that we wanted to partner, but we wanted it to be a transformational rather than a transactional relationship. The officers are on our campus routinely. They do trainings for other officers. We do trainings for the officers by our faculty and staff. And just this week alone, we hosted a symposium with the Bridgeport Police Department that was open to the community and was standing room only. So as the chief said, it is a very safe campus. It is a very safe community, and we are incredibly grateful for the partnership that we have with the police department and all that they do to keep us safe.
Are there any questions that you might have for
Chief?
Yep, Dan, you
So
go
did
first.
this
That's fine.
actually occur in the dining hall itself, Marine Dining Hall?
Yes, it did, Dan.
Okay, and were there other students in there, or how many other students?
Yes, there were other students eating as well at that point.
But you can't say how many.
Oh, a good amount.
Over a dozen.
Over a dozen, I would say.
Over
Yeah.
a dozen.
Were the two individuals involved, were they guests of a student? I know I've heard the word guests.
Yeah.
But who exactly were they?
So we believe one of the individuals, actually our victim, has a connection to the university through the university school, where they are allowed to use the dining hall, our victim. And the suspect, we do believe, was a guest of another student.
So the victim, I thought you said the victim wasn't a student.
I'm sorry. So through our investigation, we've determined that our victim is not a student at the University of Bridgeport, but there is a university school.
We're learning. We're still
learning. Yeah, we're still looking into that, but there's a university school, international school, I'm sorry, that has the ability to use the dining hall.
All of that is still being determined.
Yeah, further, but
We're still evaluating.
It's my understanding there's sort of an open campus policy at the university. Any insight on that and maybe the role that could have played in letting people in, or were these people registered, or could you explain a little more about that?
Sure. So they are not registered students. They are not members of the UB community. We view ourselves as a community-based organization. We view ourselves as part of the solution. And as I said, we host events all the time that we support the community. We support other programs in the community, whether they be educational, whether they be sports, whether it's a webinar, a seminar. So our campus is not a locked campus. And unfortunately, in this situation, that was a challenge for us. But in general, we look to be a part of the solution and not be a closed campus.
Chief, how about whereabouts of your person of interest, since he's from Queens?
Yeah, so we believe he's not in the Bridgeport area any longer. We do believe he's in the Queens area. We've been in contact with the New York City Police Department, the 105th precinct, to help us locate that individual.
Were any other students in the dining hall at risk of being injured in this incident?
I mean, so when there's reckless gunfire, I mean, there's always the potential that someone else could potentially be struck. But this was basically isolated to these two individuals. And I want to reiterate and make sure I'm clear that the victim nor the suspects were students at the University of Bridgeport. Anyone else?
Was there a firearm recovered?
That's a part of the ongoing investigation. I can't comment on that at this time.
Any others?
Any others? Dan, anything for the good order as you close? Well, hopefully we don't have any other incidents, anything else?
I don't know. Let's see if this case is in court before I leave.
Okay, all right, okay. So again, if we feel a need, we'll issue any more press releases if we do feel the need, and hopefully once he's in custody. If when the responsible person is in custody, we'll obviously update you at that point. But again, we will maintain a extra police presence on the campus going forward. So.
Any surveillance footage that could be shared?
Not at this point. All of that is still a part of the ongoing investigation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming.
Good job, everyone.
You didn't need your phone.
I didn't even know.
I always do that too. I'll have something to read from and then I don't.